So in the past 2 years, I've hiked about 4,000 miles. And in that time, I've made a very big effort to try out a lot of new gear. I wanted to very much so still be ultralight, but I also wanted to retain all of the luxuries and comforts of someone who is carrying 3 times the weight. I wanted a stove, I wanted a comfy mattress, I wanted lots of insulating layers, I wanted a nice camp setup, and some extra fun things too. So I've tried this gear down in the deserts of New Mexico and Arizona, Southern California, and Utah, across I think 3, 4, 5 different trails. I've tested this gear through the high alpine mountains of Colorado, Wyoming with the Grand Tetons and the Wind River Range, and the high mountains of British Columbia, off on the coasts of Lake Superior in Minnesota. This gear has been all over. So this is the culmination of my last 2 years of hiking. This is the gear that I have used. This is 9 pounds, and I think a lot of comforts, a lot of luxury, a lot of fun, and a lightweight. So let's check it out. So first up on the outside, I have just a single trekking pole. When I was with my partner, she would also have a trekking pole, and we would use these to set up our tent. A trekking pole tent is always going to be lighter than one that has dedicated tent poles, because we're going to be using these as we hike to save our knees, save our joints, but also to help us avoid carrying tent poles in our backpack. Now, I also have something really fun that I carried a lot this year, and I've just used a lot in my free time. This is a little fly fishing rod. It's a Tenkara fly fishing rod. I think it only weighs like 3 ounces and packs down to about 20 inches in length. So it easily fits on the side of my backpack. It's very lightweight, and it extends out to 12 feet. Tenkara fly fishing was first invented in Japan in high mountain streams, and I think it goes perfectly with backpacking because it's so lightweight and it's so minimal. There is no reel with this to add complexity and add weight. It's super easy, and I thought super fun. Now, I also have this little fanny pack. This one is a 2.5 liter hip bag by Chicken Tramper Ultralight Gear, and I very much so liked this one. So I'd carry snacks in this, my maps, I'd carry headphones, flashlight, all sorts of stuff that I may need throughout the day. And then this pack in particular, I don't think it's like fully waterproof, but it is highly water resistant because it's using waterproof fabric, it's got a waterproof zipper. It's just the seams, maybe water in torrential downpours for hours is going to seep in through there. Now, on the outside of my pack, I have my titanium spoon. I don't know who makes this one, but I'll leave a link to it down below. So, titanium spoon that is long handled and then has this shiny little tip to make eating a little bit more pleasant. I think titanium is pretty cool because it's never ever going to break. This titanium spoon is going to outlast you. Now, on the outside of my pack, I also have some MSR mini groundhog tent stakes. The ones I like the most, however, are in this like kind of X shape, or this one's more of a Y, so that when you dig it into the ground, it's not going to budge, it's not going to slip, it's not going to pull out. Now, on the outside of my pack, a Ziploc with some toilet paper, and then I also have something fun here. It's a little bidet by Common Gear. So I think it only weighs like 3 grams. It's almost weightless, and that's what I like about it. I'm not gonna use this every single time I use the restroom, but sometimes, you know, it's nice to feel a little extra clean. Now, along with my toiletry kit, I've also got a Deuce of Spades trowel. I think absolutely everyone in the entire backpacking world should have one of these. So I've been using this Deuce of Spades for I think the past 3 or 4 years now, and I've very much enjoyed it. It makes digging a hole very easy. It makes leaving no trace very easy. Now, on the outside, I also have a smart water bottle, just get at any grocery store ever. And I don't have it with me, but this year I used the Platypus Quick Draw filter. I think the Platypus Quick Draw, I liked it more than the Sawyer Squeeze, but I've used both the Sawyer Squeeze and the Quick Draw in the past, and they're both great.
Filter like a liter in like 40 seconds. It like makes filtering, I wouldn't say fun, but like way more bearable than any other filter I've ever tried.
Now, last thing on the outside of my pack, I also have some sunglasses. These are some special sunglasses. These are made by Ombraz, and they do not have arms like a traditional pair of sunglasses. They just have this like paracord kind of material. Keeps them on your head when not in use. You don't have to worry about them. They just hang there, nice and easy. I guess the reason I originally wanted them was because they were I don't know, 10, 20 grams, 30 grams lighter than a lot of other sunglasses out there. So not only are you getting some cool tech, some fancy new gear, but you're getting something that's actually lighter weight than other competitors. I've been using this pair for the past 3 years, and you can barely tell, you know, and I take absolutely no precaution with using them. So some Ombraz sunglasses, very lightweight, a fun little piece of gear that's different from sunglasses you may have grown up wearing. Now the pack itself that I've been using, this is the Desert Pack by Palante, and I think the most important part for just about anyone is that this is like a 45-liter backpack, and I think that's kind of what you should aim for, like 45 to 50 liters, because it's not overkill, it's not too big, but it's also not too small. It's going to give you flexibility for not just hiking in the summer, but also hiking in the shoulder seasons, where you're going to want some extra layers, or doing long food carries where you're going to need some extra volume. So it's got shoulder strap pockets on the front for like a camera, a cell phone, miscellaneous small items. The side pockets fit 2 liters on either side, nice and easy. And yeah, I very much so like this pack. This is what I've been using for the past 2 years, 4,000 miles, and still going strong. I'm hoping to use it all of next year as well. So before I get into what's inside the pack, quite a few people have asked. On the Teton Crest Trail, I wore some pants, when normally I wear shorts. So the pants I wore are actually these pants. They are Patagonia Terrebone joggers. They're extremely lightweight, they're extremely airy, so when it's hot out, you're not gonna overheat, but it's nice sun protection. And then when it's cold out, it helps cut some of the wind and add just that tiny bit of extra warmth that you're never gonna get from shorts. So right on top of my pack, I have the tent that I used this year, last year, and a bit of the year before that. This is a Dyneema tent. It's made by Z-Packs, and it is the Z-Packs Altiplex. This is a one-person shelter, but I felt like it was super spacious. I'm definitely not fitting 2 people in there unless you really, really want to get close with them. But for just me, there was tons of room. There was room for me, there was room for all of my gear right next to me inside the tent, and there's tons of room in the vestibule to cook, and I very much so enjoyed using this tent. I used the Z-Packs Altiplex when I was alone, and this year when I was hiking with my partner, I used the Durston X-Mid 2 Pro Plus. The Plus meaning it's a little bit bigger than just the Pro 2. So we tried the X-Mid 2 Plus, and it was fantastic. I no longer felt like I needed to scrunch up into a ball. I could stretch out. We had living space for both of us. We could play like card games and Monopoly Deal inside the tent. We could actually live in there. It truly felt like a palace. And the best part is it only weighs 1 more ounce than a duplex does. So the Durston X-Mid 2 Plus was fantastic. It is what we used for half the Colorado Trail. It is what we used on the Teton Crest Trail. It is what we are about to be using all of next year when we are hiking together. So I'm very much so excited for it, and I very much have enjoyed using it so far. Now next up, I just have my little bag of small things. I don't really use stuff sacks. It's just a gallon Ziploc bag. Inside of it, I have some ibuprofen. I have some Leukotape, good for blisters. I have a little repair packet, small toothbrush, toothpaste, mini Bic lighter, and a toothpick. I have a small Swiss Army knife. I have some Body Glide because chafing is a nightmare when you're on a long hike. Now in here, I also have a little tiny flashlight. I use this instead of a headlamp. This is a Rovi Von Aurora AX5, I believe. It comes with a nice little clip, and then it can be used just like a headlamp would be, except it's a little bit lighter weight and it's super cool. One of my favorite features about this thing is that it glows in the dark. So that in the middle of the night when I hear some weird sound, I am never going to be fumbling around searching for this. It glows in the dark. It's wonderful. It also charges off USB Type-C, so that's fantastic. So I got a little wallet. This is made by the same company that makes the Fanny Pack, Chicken Tramper Ultralight gear. It's a little wallet made out of X-Pack, I believe. Again, a waterproof fabric. It has a waterproof zipper. I don't think it is fully waterproof, like you don't want to submerge this, but in the rain, it is more than fine. You know, a lot of waterproof materials happening here, and I've enjoyed it. So this is what I've used the past 2 years. Now, I also have a battery bank. This is a 20,000 milliamp hour battery bank. I need it for charging my camera. I need it for charging my phone, my flashlight, you know, all these different things. For music, for photos, for navigation and safety with GPS and weather reports and all that. Nitecore makes the absolute lightest battery banks on the market. And when a lot of battery banks of this size weigh like over a pound, you know, a pound of just electricity, this big brick, having a very light one is important to me. So Nitecore makes the absolute lightest, and I went with the NB20000, and I've been really happy with it so far. Now I also have two USB-C cords and a dual charging port. So I believe that's all my small stuff. Let's get into some more fun stuff, some bigger things. Okay, so if you want full comfort in gear list, what you're gonna need above all else is an inflatable pillow. So the Sea to Summit Aeros, it only weighs 2 ounces, and it is extremely fast to inflate. That is just 2 breaths of air, and it is fully inflated and ready to go, ready to cradle my head to sleep every night. So Sea to Summit Aeros, 2 ounces, and the epitome of ultralight comfort. Now, while we're here on sleeping stuff, I also carried an inflatable pad for a lot of my trips this past couple years. So this is the Thermarest NeoAir Exlight, and I've enjoyed it. You know, that's 2 years, many trips down in the desert, up in British Columbia, all through Wyoming, and no punctures, no leaks. The thing still works perfectly fine. I think it weighs about 12 ounces, and maybe that's my only gripe with it, is that if you are comfortable on a foam sleeping pad, not only is foam going to be cheaper, it is also going to be lighter weight. So it's a little bit expensive and it's a little bit heavy, but it is super, super warm and it is super comfortable. You know, so it's kind of hard to beat that combination, and for many, many, many people, this is going to be the ticket for sleeping comfortably at night when out in the wilderness. You know, having an inflatable sleeping pad. The NeoAir Exlight is about as classic as it gets when it comes to inflatables, and so that's what I got. If you want to immediately knock a ½ pound off this kit, take it from 9 pounds down to 8.5, this is how you would do it. Just don't get one of these, don't use one of these, figure something else out. This is an Ursack Major XL. It is a food bag that is bear proof. It is grizzly proof. Something like this is going to be significantly easier than having to hang your food every night off of a tree like 50 feet up in the air. That is unbelievably frustrating to do. Whereas this is super, super easy. There are just 2 little knots that you'll need to learn, and You just tie it up to a tree. You don't even have to hang it high in the air or anything. A grizzly bear could be tugging on it, chewing on it, gnawing on it all night and not be able to get to your food. So I use this in grizzly country in particular, but you know what I've been seeing is a lot more hikers on trails without grizzly bears using it just because it's so simple. I saw so many of these on the Colorado Trail. A lot more Appalachian Trail hikers are using them as the bears on the Appalachian Trail are getting smarter. So Ursac, I think it's a fantastic little thing, and you know, it's definitely something I'm keeping around and going to continue using into the future. All right, getting into some layers, the most underrated piece of gear that I used this year and was super stoked with. And that is a buff. It's just a big tube of warm fabric. So you wrap it around your neck, it keeps your neck warm, or on very cold mornings, cold evenings, or cold days, you can put it over your mouth, you can put it over your ears, you can have it coming up to your eyes. You can still breathe through it, you can still talk through it, but it's going to add so much warmth. I like how lightweight it is, I like how packable it is, and it's very multi-use because you can use it to warm your neck, warm your ears, or wear it like a beanie and warm your head. So you could carry this instead of carrying a beanie even, as this is going to have a lot more uses than a beanie would, and it can be used in the exact same way a beanie would. Just a simple buff was probably my most favorite piece of gear to come out of these past 2 years, which is kind of crazy to say, but I very much enjoyed it on those colder trips. Now, this next item is some wind pants. These are Enlightened Equipment Copperfield wind pants. They pack down to the size of like a tangerine. They are like 1 ounce in weight, and they trap the heat inside my legs, inside this pant. They cut the wind that may be blowing past. I mean, they're called wind pants after all. Probably the best bonus of these is that when there's a lot of mosquitoes out, you can just put these on and they are just a perfect mosquito barrier. So these are Enlightened Equipment Copperfield wind pants. There are definitely significantly cheaper options out there. Search body wrapper wind pants on Amazon and you'll find a like $20 pair that weighs like twice as much as this. Considering this only weighs like 1 ounce, we're talking about like a 3 ounce thing versus a 1 ounce thing, you know, so it's still extremely lightweight. Wonderful, and goes on every single trip with me for warmth for my legs and for mosquito protection. So this is a fleece hoodie made by the company Senchi, and it uses the fabric Alpha Direct. This is a size large and it only weighs 4 ounces. Size large and 4 ounces. So it is just ridiculously lightweight. And initially I had the concern that it wasn't going to be very durable. And you know, now 2 years of using it, a lot of miles with just this, there's no real damage to it. So it's proven to be a lot more durable than I ever expected. It's unbelievably lightweight, especially for the amount of warmth. And because it's a fleece, because it's like literally see-through, you can hike in this without overheating, you know, and that's one of the parts that I like the most, is that I can put this on in the morning and I can hike the next 5-6 miles while wearing it and being comfortable and being warm, but not sweating because it's still very breathable. I would hike in that into the evening, and then once I got into camp, I would put on a Puffy. So this is a Montbell Exlight hooded down jacket. It's got pockets, just one giant kangaroo pocket on the front. It's got this nice hood. It's got a half zip so you can ventilate yourself if you're getting too hot. It's not the warmest down jacket in existence, but that's not what I want because I'm layering it with a fleece. This Puffy alone is going to be way too warm to hike in, so it's nice that I have the fleece to hike in. The fleece is not going to be warm enough for just sitting around camp, but the Puffy is warm enough when you're sitting at camp. So I think the idea here is to get the lightest weight fleece possible and the lightest weight Puffy possible, to then combine them in different ways and use them at different times throughout the day. You know, they can be used as standalone pieces, or they could be used in conjunction of each other to be more powerful than any one piece could ever be. Now, I also have a bug head net. You know, this is not something I bring on every single trip ever because there's not always bugs, but it weighs like less than an ounce, so, you know, you almost might as well bring it. Now, for socks, the past few years, I've been wearing basically exclusively Darn Tough socks. Darn Tough is just wonderful because of the warranty. You know, the warranty is like, if you get a hole in it that's the size of a quarter, they will replace it. Right now, I think I have like 7 pairs of Darn Toughs, and effectively, that is a lifetime pair of socks. I've bought 7 of them. As soon as they get a hole in them, I send them back to Darn Tough, and they send me out a new pair. I am not special. They will do this to anyone. It is their warranty. So Darn Tough socks are pretty great just for that. So for the past, I don't know, handful of years, I've been on this quest to try out every ultralight rain jacket there is. But right now, I'm using the Montbell Versalite. It's a little bit heavier than the Visp, so just for that reason alone, I might go back to the Visp. But it does have more features. You know, it's got some pockets, some zip-up pockets, which are really, really great when you're in a big storm. It sucks when your hands are just getting like totally saturated with water. It's got massive pit zips, and the Montbell Versalite is like one of the most famous ultralight rain jackets to ever exist. So my last little layer of clothes is a fleece beanie. This one, unfortunately, you can't buy online. It is a Melanzana grid fleece beanie. In the past, I used a Z-Pack's fleece beanie. Wonderful, used it for like 6 years. It's still going strong. But this one is like 0.4 ounces lighter. Naturally, I was salivating over the thought of something lighter weight in such a stupid category of things. Now, a couple more fun things here. You're not gonna have a luxury comfort ultralight kit without a stove. To start out, this is a Toaks. I think it's 650 milliliters. I think if I were doing this again, buying another one, I'd buy the 750 milliliter instead, as sometimes this feels a little too small. And then inside, I have the greatest stove of all time. So the BRS 3000T I've had since like 2018. It only costs like $15 and it weighs extremely, extremely little. So the BRS 3000T is absolutely wonderful, and I use that along with a titanium pot here. Now, getting down to the last items here, I have my quilt. So on solo trips, I've been using the Z-Pack's 20-degree quilt, and I've been happy with how warm it is for 20 degrees. If you saw my Wind River Range video where I was getting slammed by a snowstorm, I was warm and happy with this. In the past, I've used a lot of Enlightened Equipment quilts, and I very much so like those as well. It's just right now, this is what I got, so this is what I'm using. If you want to go cheaper than this, I would be looking into synthetic quilts. Synthetic quilts are going to be a little bit heavier. They're not going to pack down quite as small, but they're also going to be like half the price. So Enlightened Equipment makes a lot of synthetic quilts, and I would recommend checking those out. When I'm hiking with my partner, however, we use a double quilt by Enlightened Equipment. It's called the Enlightened Equipment Accomplice, and we very much so enjoy that because we both fit in it together. You know, we can cuddle if we want, and maybe the best part is that my body heat helps heat up her. So we got a 20-degree Accomplice when in reality we would have been great with the 30-degree, because the two bodies both heating up the inside of the quilt together makes it feel warmer than just a single quilt alone. So the one item I do not have here with me is a pack liner. It is just a big plastic trash bag. You put it in your pack first, and then you stuff all of your gear inside of it. And what it essentially does is it makes any pack waterproof for just like $2. You know, it's just a trash bag. So I buy mine off garagegrowngear.com, and it's time that I restock. So that is everything. That is the 9-pound kit that I've come to after the past 4,000 miles, the past 2 years of testing and trying all sorts of different things. You know, so I wanted to be able to share something that would be good for everyone, that would be comfortable for everyone. and not just something that I enjoy personally. So that's it. That is my full comfort sub ultralight pack.